following program was pre-recorded to be aired at this time. Material contained therein could be time-sensitive, meaning it could be early, expired, or late. Listeners are advised to pay close attention to the details of the program. Again, this program is pre-recorded. Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the host and guest, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of JJLN Radio. Time now is 7 p.m. Normally here would be the Lady G Show, but taking the place of Lady G Show is the Angel Cafe with Kathy Navin. That's right, from now on you're going to be able to tune into this program Saturdays at 7 p.m. And then it's going to be retelecast the next 6 days, 24 hours a day. The Angel's Cafe with Kathy Navin. The phone lines are open. You can call in and be a part of the show by dialing 1-888-778-1436. That's 1-388-778-1436. And you can also contribute to support the show financially by using the world-famous silver button at the top left-hand corner of the viewing portal you're now watching. The show will be recorded, so DVD and audio CDs will be available. We'll talk about that more later, but right now, here we go into the facilities of JJLN Radio, into the studios of Amerimare.net for the Angel's Cafe with Kathy Navin.
Good evening. Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July to all of our veterans, to all the armed forces, and to all of our JJLN fans around the globe. So glad you are joining us for tonight's historic Everything Veterans Angel Cafe's 26th show. The 4th of July is just days away, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence. On July 2nd, 1776, the Continental Congress voted in favor of independence, and 2 days later, delegates from 13 colonies adopted the Independence Declaration of Independence, a historic document signed by Thomas Jefferson. From 1776 to the present day, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence. We come together as a nation on this federal holiday to commemorate the July 4th, 1776. Joining us tonight is a truly distinguished guest. I am humbled and honored to welcome to the show Honorable Judge Mark Stevens. Welcome to the show. Please greet our world audience.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate being here, and especially on the eve of, or just before
Independence
Day, July 4th. It's always a great day, but also it's a difficult day for some veterans.
Yes.
With the
a lot of memories.
Fireworks and all those things.
It affects
PTSD. It's a difficult day.
Post-trauma stress, injury. Yeah.
Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're going to be thinking of you veterans today and this weekend, and we'll say a prayer later. But right now, I want to tell you a little bit about the judge before we start to talk to him. Thank you for coming. Chief Judge Mark Stevens of the Henderson Municipal Court began when he was a young second lieutenant working for the Judge Advocate General's office while serving in the United States Marine Corps. Mark served in the United States Marine Corps from 1988 until 1994 as a captain, a company commander, and finally as a Judge Advocate Defense Attorney at JAG. After leaving the Marines, he worked as a private attorney and a law enforcement training instructor from 1994 to 1997. In 1997, he was accepted by the Henderson Police Department and served as an officer until 2001. Judge Mark Stevens has been a municipal court judge for Henderson since 2007. His signature achievement, which we'll talk about more tonight, while on the municipal court, 15 years, right?
12 years on the court, 7 years as a prosecutor for Henderson.
Okay, I'm glad he clarified that. Has been his vision to help those who have served their country through military service by founding the first Veterans Treatment Court in Nevada. So veterans, get ready to take notes on that in a little bit. Judge Mark Stevens serves as the City of Henderson Municipal Court Judge, Department 1, taking office April 17, 2007. He served as Chief Judge from 2012 through 2015 and 2018 to present. Judge Stevens presides over criminal arraignments and trials as well as traffic arraignments. Oh, he serves over arraignments and trials, correct? Okay. Now, following our third break, we will be sharing a congressional prayer offered by Chaplain Reverend Edward G. Latch, and this will be in tribute to Independence Day. And now we're going to go right to our judge. And Honorable Judge, or what would you like me to call you during the show?
Mark is fine.
Okay, Mark, let's start with my first question. I always ask the veterans, why Marines? I ask whatever service, I say why.
It's a good question. Quite frankly, I wanted a challenge, and so, of course,
You had no
Marines.
second thoughts? I mean, Marines was it?
Yeah, that was my choice.
Well, did you have any relatives in the armed forces? Like I had a World War II dad in the Army.
I had uncles, but
okay.
nobody directly in my family, and no Marines.
No Marines. So were they in the Army or
Army.
Navy? Okay. Yeah. So you said, I'm just going to pioneer and go in the Marines.
Correct.
Bless you. So tell us a little bit about your early career. Did you major in law? Were you already in law?
You know, I started off. I went to Oklahoma State and got my bachelor's. I went to Oklahoma State because I was a wrestler, and so I went there, and then got my MBA. Couldn't afford to go to law school right away,
Okay.
so the company I was working for paid for my MBA at night, and then in '88, then I joined the Marine Corps and started law school.
Okay, so now you're active full-duty Marine and you're going to law school.
Correct. So, great experience. Some of the best lawyers and some of the best people I've ever met were those folks that I dealt with in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Some really good lawyers.
And JAG, absolutely. I'm familiar with JAG because I was married to an Army man for years, and yes, if you had a problem, you went to see the JAG attorneys.
Correct. Yeah. And I was defense most of the time. Then I ultimately became a company commander as well, which was a great honor. I had 410 Marines in my company. It was a headquarters and service company, so I had all the lawyers and judges. And
Wow.
I had dispersing, and I had postal, and what was the fourth one? The computer guys.
So you had all those experienced people, and you're in charge.
Well, and I was in charge on paper, but it made it complicated. I think it was a leadership challenge, which was great because a lot of the individuals that I was in charge of outranked me.
Yeah.
And so you had to figure out how to...
You had to really have a personnel acumen to take care of all that.
And probably the more difficult ones were the lawyers and the judges, and it probably helped that I was one of them. But it was a great experience, being in leadership in the Marine Corps. I think every Marine looks forward to that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, congratulations on all that achievement. I'm just impressed. Now, I want you to take us from there to first tell us. You're from Oklahoma, but your mom, your dad, your brothers, sisters, siblings?
I'm from Nebraska, actually, but I went to Oklahoma State for
Like
wrestling.
my husband. He's born in Omaha, Nebraska, but...
I'm a farm boy from Nebraska, a little town that I'm sure nobody's ever heard of. So,
There you go. I'm a farm girl. The military kind of takes you to see the world, doesn't it?
It does a little bit.
So you've traveled, not necessarily in the military, but a lot in your life now.
Yeah, in the Marine Corps, I was just in Somalia. I served over there for an extended period of time, and then also overseas in South Korea for
Okay.
a bit.
Take us from JAG officer to police officer. What year did that transition happen?
Okay, so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I started practicing civil law and billable hours and sitting behind a desk. And burnout from that, and I was used to going to court and a little adrenaline rush and,
Yeah.
and more interesting things. So I ended up being an instructor and the staff attorney for a law enforcement training center back in Nebraska. So I taught all the legal classes. I also taught firearms, defensive tactics, and
Okay, a teacher. Okay.
and also provide the legal services because it was the only law enforcement training center in Nebraska, and it was a live-in academy, so you had
Oh my
food
goodness.
services and everything else. So anyway, I did that and kind of got hooked, and then decided to be a Henderson police officer. So
Okay.
I did that at night. I was a graveyard police officer at night, and then I was an attorney during the day. And then,
Oh my goodness. So you have been that personality that work, right?
I've slowed down over the years, but it's 100-hour work weeks back then were
Yeah.
pretty common. But I love being a police officer, but ultimately ended up switching over as a prosecutor.
So you were a police officer on 9/11 here?
Well, I was a police officer back from, I guess it was 97 to 2001.
Okay. And so sometime in 2001 you ended the police officer career.
I just switched over to be a prosecutor.
Okay.
The city attorney's office was short a couple people, needed somebody, and I needed to quit working 100-hour work weeks, and so I switched over.
And I'm just curious because, I've been on a jury before and, watched the prosecutors speak and then the defense attorney. Did you enjoy being the prosecutor? Was that a challenging job?
I love being defense when I was in the Marine Corps. I think I learned a lot as defense, and I really love being a prosecutor as well. But as it turns out, my judge that I appeared in front of mostly for those 7 years, he was retiring.
Okay.
He happened to be a Henderson police officer previously,
Okay, you had a lot in common with him.
and also
Right
a
there.
Marine.
Oh my goodness.
Vietnam.
Okay. So you're
so-
friends.
So, as friendly as a judge and a prosecutor can be, and so when he was retiring, I ran for his seat.
Oh my. Okay.
And so I've done 2 terms and just started my 3rd term. I just got reelected, and so this one actually is being extended. The municipal elections for Henderson, anyway, have been in the spring, and they wanted to change those all to the main elections, the regular national
Oh, I
and
see.
state
To make it
elections.
match. Okay.
So by doing that, the legislature just got done, and they increased the term another year and 7 months. So it's 7 years, 7 months this next term. And I was telling somebody it kind of sounds like a jail sentence, extending it that far. But anyway.
Wow, that's impressive. By now, you've been a judge here for so long, and you've seen Henderson really grow. I mean, isn't the population like tripled? I mean,
Yeah, Henderson's really grown. We've seen great times, and of course, 2007, 2008, and for a few years there, really difficult times with the economy and everything.
absolutely.
And it, impacts, of course, the court as well.
I'm certain, yes. Now, you've lived here in Las Vegas since
Since 93, 94.
93, 94. Okay, so now you're in the court system. You won the judge. You've been a judge. When did you get this vision to say, I need to help veterans? I'm going to create a veterans treatment court. Tell us about that.
Sure. And I can't really take credit for it. I was in chambers, and you knock on the door, and it was a public defender from another court who was a Vietnam veteran, and he'd read an article in the VFW magazine about the first ever Veterans Treatment Court in Buffalo, New York. Judge Russell started one in Buffalo, New York in 2008. So this was...
Excuse us. We're going to come back and talk about Veterans Court, but we're going to break. Be right back. Thank you.